This is the Fox 5 News Block.
In a matter of minutes, the president is expected to sign an executive order aimed at closing the U.S. Department of Education. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Antoine Lewis. Welcome to the News Block. Our top story in just a moment, but first, let's take a look at the forecast on this first day of spring. Cooler today with temps and clouds sometime peering through a little bit. The storm is moving in after sunset. We're going to see rain and possibly some thunder showers. The wet weather clears out tomorrow, though. Winds will kick up. We could see gusts of more than 40 miles per hour. Weekends looking okay with temps in the 50s. The next serious rain threat, however, is coming on Monday. Developing news out of Washington, the president is expected to sign an executive order calling for the shutdown of the Department of Education. This morning, demonstrators gathered outside of the DOE building in anticipation. This afternoon, Mr. Trump is expected to sign that executive order that would close the DOE, which he called wasteful and full of liberal ideology. Trump says his goal is to return control of schools to the states. Education advocates are outraged as federal funding helps many states, including the tri-state, close the achievement gap between rich and poor students, provide meal programs, as well as funding for students with disabilities, which in New York City alone counts for about $2 billion a year.
The Department of Education's a big con job.
Nobody in America wants the destruction of public education.
Now, the president doesn't actually have the authority to dismantle the DOE. Only Congress can do that. In fact, Congress created the department back in 1979. The Taliban releasing an American citizen detained in Afghanistan for 2.5 years. Delta Airlines mechanic George Gleesman was released and is traveling back to the U.S. today. He was detained by the Taliban after traveling to Afghanistan for a vacation in 2022. A year later, U.S. officials designated him as wrongfully detained. Now, after weeks of negotiations, a breakthrough was made. He becomes the third American detainee released by the Taliban since January. Ukraine and Russia continue to exchange attacks even after phone calls with the president, though Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he's ready to implement a partial ceasefire plan with Russia. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan explains.
Fighting is still raging in Ukraine as the U.S. tries to mediate an end to the war. Last night, Russian forces launched a wave of drones while Ukraine struck 2 military bases inside Russia. It comes after both countries' leaders spoke with President Trump and agreed in principle to stop attacks on energy infrastructure, though it remains to be seen when that might take effect.
The president emphasized that in further meetings, the teams can agree on all necessary aspects of advancing toward lasting peace and security.
The White House says technical experts from the U.S., Ukraine, and Russia will gather in Saudi Arabia in the coming days to discuss the types of targets that would be off limits to attacks. Russian President Vladimir Putin has called for a more narrow agreement, while Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he'd also like railways and ports to be protected.
It is important that we prepare the list of objects that Russian long-range missiles could not hit because we're thinking they could fit the list of energy and civilian infrastructure.
But despite the verbal agreement by Putin, Zelensky has questioned whether the Russian leader is seriously pursuing peace talks.
I think we've got to apply leverage against Putin. You know, what he does is, this is the same strategy we've seen before. He talks nice and plays tough.
Meanwhile, military chiefs are meeting in London today to discuss a possible international peacekeeping force to monitor any potential truce in Ukraine. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
Israeli airstrikes killed at least 85 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip overnight, killing men, women, and children as they slept. This, according to local health officials. A 1-month-old baby girl was rescued from rubble. The Israeli military says it struck militant targets. Meanwhile, Hamas fired 3 rockets at Israel, setting off air raid sirens in central Israel. It was Hamas's first attack since Israel ended the ceasefire on Tuesday. Columbia University has until tomorrow to comply with a list of conditions to keep its federal funding. On March 13th, the Trump administration sent a letter to Columbia laying out 9 demands the university must commit to in order to restore $400 million in federal grants and contracts. That money was revoked after President Trump accused Columbia of not doing enough to fight anti-Semitism. The mandate includes enforcing existing disciplinary policies, banning masks, and empowering campus police. Columbia's interim president says the university will not waver from its principles and values of academic freedom, but also appears to suggest the university will cooperate. Breaking news to tell you about on congestion pricing. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy scolding Governor Kathy Hochul for her refusal to kill the congestion toll. The deadline to do so is tomorrow. Duffy says he will provide New York with a 30-day extension as the discussions continue. Duffy's message on X to Governor Hochul is, quote, "Your refusal to end congestion pricing and your open disrespect to federal government is unacceptable." Governor Hochul and the MTA say they will keep the gantry cameras on pending a lawsuit filed against the administration. I-80 in Wharton, New Jersey remains closed in both directions due to a sinkhole. Drivers are being forced to detour yet again. This stretch of highway has been plagued with sinkholes for months. The newest void, a 15 by 5 foot hole, opening up yesterday near exit 34 during a drilling operation from NJ DOT. All lanes on I-80 westbound at exit 34B, Route 15 northbound are closed, and the eastbound lanes were already closed because of construction work going on because of other sinkholes. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Master anything with the fastest wireless speeds from Spectrum.
Welcome back. Mayor Eric Adams shining a spotlight on homelessness in our subway system with new statistics from a recent city program designed to help those in need. At a press conference this morning, Mayor Adams announced a key milestone in the city's Partnership Assistance for Transit Homelessness program. PATH is a major advancement in the city's embrace of co-response, a crisis response model that's gaining traction nationally, in which clinical professionals are paired with police, this to engage in members of the public who are in need of medical care and or social services. Adams says the subway safety plan was connected with more than 6,400 New Yorkers living in the subway system to shelter.
We hear it over and over again. Those who are dealing with severe mental health issues, for the most part, are participating in conditions that brings a level of public safety. The shoving on the subway tracks, the attacks, the assaults, many people showing a level of display that is alarming to New Yorkers.
Adams says the city has already had over 11,000 engagements with unhoused New Yorkers and delivered services including shelter, meals, and medical help over 3,000 times. For years now, the Fox Corporation has partnered with the Red Cross to bring disaster relief to communities in need. So Fox was proud to receive the Red Cross Heroes Award for supporting the nonprofit's humanitarian mission. Now the award acknowledges Fox's role in rallying viewers and employees in raising much-needed disaster relief funds, as well as volunteer efforts. Fox 5 Vice President and General Manager Lou Leone joined Senior VP of Fox Corporate Communications Sue Kinsey at last night's gala. Kinsey accepted the award on behalf of Fox and received a special shout-out from the Red Cross.
Since July, Fox and their viewers across news, sports, entertainment, local stations, and weather platforms have donated an astounding $15 million, $15 million to Red Cross Disaster Relief.
Fox Corporation was one of 25 companies recognized last night for their support. Well, as you know, the Big Apple is home to some of the world's best fine dining, but did you know you can find some of those upscale restaurants in Times Square? Fox 5's Duarte Giardino gives us a taste of this recent restaurant revolution in the theater district.
Times Square, the lights, the tourists, the magic, it's where Broadway thrives, and now it's making a name for itself in fine dining. Gooey Steakhouse on 47th Street just opened. The food here is almost as immersive as a Broadway show. This is Michelin star chef Sung Chul Shim's latest venture, where classic steakhouse dishes get a Korean twist.
My goal is not just a restaurant. I want to give them, our customer guests, a lot of good experience here.
Prime ribs, slow cooked for hours and seared with rich Korean flavors.
So what makes the food here so much more unique than any other steakhouse?
We're not your typical Korean steakhouse. When you go to a Korean barbecue steakhouse, you are expecting the grill to be, in the middle of the dining room. You get to interact with your guests or whatnot, grilling the food. But in this case, it's kind of like a Western with the Korean flavors.
And it's not just gooey. High-end spots are popping up all over Times Square. The Times Square Alliance says new development is drawing more foot traffic. Dining and restaurant spending hit $387 million last quarter. Broadway ticket sales jumped 33% in January. International visitors are spending 7% more.
The benefits are it's a longer day. We are the reason why the city never sleeps. You come to Times Square now, you come at 3 in the morning, it is packed.
Back at Gooey, the experience goes beyond the food. Their signature martini is infused with beef drippings. Don't knock it till you try it. They serve food till 11 p.m. and plan to keep the kitchen open even later to accommodate theatergoers.
Kimchi fried rice with Wagyu steak bits. Delicious. And soon, fine dining experiences like this are not going to be the exception. They will be the norm in Times Square. Just look at this steak. In Times Square, Duarte Geraldino, Fox 5 News.
Tesla issuing a recall for most of its Cybertrucks. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says more than 46,000 Cybertrucks are included in the recall. The agency says the issue is linked to a cosmetic panel that could detach and cause a road hazard. It's the 8th recall for those Cybertrucks since it was first released back in 2023. Cuteness overload at the Long Island Aquarium. So Flo and Stark, the otters, had puppies. These adorable creatures were born February 6, weighing a whopping 2.5 pounds. Officials tell us that the ideas for their names have already started coming in. If you want to get a look, the Long Island Aquarium is celebrating its 25th anniversary with discounted tickets, and they're $25 on the 25th of each month. The Rockettes are celebrating their 100th year anniversary. They stopped by Good Day New York this morning to show off their meticulous dancing skills.
So let's dance, the last dance tonight.
Rockettes are also looking for new talent to join the Kick Line. I didn't know that's what it was called. Anyone is welcome to audition this April. The only requirement, according to the Rockettes, is that you need to be at least 18 years old. All right, let's talk about the forecast again on this first day of spring. We are in for some rain tonight, possibly even some thunderstorms. Now, when the rain moves out, the winds will pick up tomorrow. And let's look ahead to the weekend. Sun and cloud temperatures in the 50s with more rain on Monday to start the work week. All right, everybody, that's your news block for now. I'm Antoine Lewis. We thank you so much for joining us. Tune into the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5 and right here on the Fox Local app for all of the day's news as it develops.